And welcome to Ibrox Uncovered, the ultimate Rangers podcast with Mark Haitley, Alec Ray and me, Lindsay Heron. Well, some big talking points in this episode. We look forward to the Europa League action in Prague and, of course, the visit of Hibs on Sunday. But lads, can we firstly talk about goalkeepers? What's your take on the rotation situation at the moment, Mark?
Stephen's been out and said, he's wanting 2 or 3 players for each position, no different for a goalkeeper. I think game time's important for everybody to keep the camp happy, especially in that position. You've got Alan McGregor as well, knocking on back end of 39 now. Mm-hmm. So, he's, will be training, picking his days to train, I would have thought. Different intensity levels in training sessions for different sorts of periods of games or blocks of games that are coming up. And I think it's like everything else. I think in big squads, need to keep everybody happy. And goalkeepers are no different. And I think John will just get the games that come by that boys behind the scenes think are probably less more important than Alan McGregor's games. But that needs to be done. You need to keep everybody smiling, nobody grumpy.
It doesn't cause any disruption, you don't think?
Listen, it's an interesting one, Lindsay. Before Saturday's game, it was a topic as well that I covered. It was interesting because I think if you look defensively at Rangers at the moment, they're a wee bit... They're passing up a few opportunities than they would have done last year. And I think because of the rotation, it could potentially cause a little bit of uncertainty. And then that obviously happens as well with your defensive line as well. So Barisic has been in, Bassey's been in. Then you look at Hollander in and out with Balogun. Then Hollander then goes out due to injury. Connor Golson's been pretty much a mainstay, as is Tavernier. I think, when you look at the performances. But going back to the original point about the goalkeeper, I think John McLaughlin's chapping on the door now. I think when you look at the spell in which he's gone in, and I think we'll get more of an idea come the European game, because McLaughlin's had the last 2 games. And then if you look at the 2 previous to that, it was Alan McGregor. They're both sat on 6 games apiece. Mm-hmm. McCrory's had a couple of games. I think in terms of the department, I think Colin Stewart, Steven Gerrard, that'll be quite comfortable whether it's McGregor or whether it's McLaughlin, because that save that he produced at the weekend, McLaughlin, and his confidence must be sky high, because it's constantly clean sheets. He's produced an unbelievable penalty save. And I think if you go in there as a back 4 and McLaughlin or McGregor, you're sitting going, we're in safe hands because of the performances that they're producing. It'll be, again, as I said, I think it'll be really interesting to see who goes with, and that will give us more of an indication who's still the number 1 or not. Because I think, as I said, McLaughlin's starting to chap on the door because...
He's there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
That's without a shadow of a doubt. That's why Stephen will play him. There's no big... just on you go. I think Alan will, appreciate the fact that he's getting a rest in between the games he's playing.
Let me ask you a question there. Do you think they'll be happy that because see, when you get old, you want to play games?
Yeah. But that's what I'm just saying. Perhaps he wants to extend. If he's playing less games, he'll play longer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Looking after the body and all that sort of stuff.
I think Steven Gerrard said recently he thinks Alan can play well into his 40s.
Yeah.
So, but then if he doesn't play in the big games, is he going to be unhappy with that? Is he going to say, well, wait a minute, Gaffer, you said...
I don't know how Alan feels. I know how I felt.
Yeah.
And see, when you get to a later stage, and I'll give you an example. Stephen Davis. Davo would play every game going. Now, I said last week that I felt as if it was time to pull him out because he
protect himself from himself.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. But in their mindset, there's players who want to play on a regular basis. The mindset is, and this is going back to my own, once I started to drop out, in my mind, I was almost starting to work my way back. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be on the front foot. I wanted to be sharp. I wanted to be match sharp. And I would imagine that would be the same for McGregor. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes because, listen, he's been unbelievable since he came back his second spell.
Absolutely. But it's a great situation to be in. We're talking not only the goalkeeping spot, we're talking about different areas of the pitch as well.
Mm-hmm. Who would you go with against Prague on Thursday?
I put Alan in. I think he's my number 1 goalkeeper.
You think, John?
No. You look excited.
Yeah.
You think, John?
I think Alan is a leader of the whole group, basically. Right. And I think
an alpha male. Yeah,
and I think he's quite comfortable playing with either or at centre halves. He's quite capable of organising, and I think that's what will give him the shout. And then that's what experience is there for. You've got your man to organise, you've got your full-backs, he'll be screaming at, Tav, and he'll be screaming at whoever's been playing on the other side.
I still just feel as if he still is the number 1. I don't think, he hasn't made any mistakes. And I think partly, as we've discussed, the rest will keep him focused for these big games.
Let's look at that then. I mean, Rangers, a big night for them in Prague. They really want to try and get something from this game, because then you've got the back-to-back with Brøndby in the middle of the group. Yeah. So to go 2 games without any points would be difficult.
You need to be picking up points in Prague without a shadow of a doubt. This Prague score goals. Not so many at home, though. On the road, they look devastating. I think they've got 8 in the last two games.
Yeah.
So they have got goal scorers that will be, keen to get at our back four. I think where we've been more successful has been in Europe and away from home, where good teams will come at you on the front foot, which leaves the space. The downside to that is Kent's not playing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, Kent's not playing to give that little bit of thought into the opposition manager and think, whoops, we might just have to. So they might just go gung-ho. Do you know what I mean? And leave him even more exposed.
Right.
And then it's up to others to come into the team and expose their weaknesses. So it's going to be a tough game. We said right at the beginning, I think these will be one of the top teams in this group. But if we can go there and we can get a result, and we're built to get results away from home, I think, personally, and then into the Brøndby game, then that's a continuation. That's what we need to get going at a continuation of good performances and clean sheets.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. 6 goals conceded in Europe, Alec. 2 in each of the legs against Malmo, and obviously the 2 at Lyon.
Yeah. Listen, I think that's one of the things that has been fairly evident, because I think even if you go back more, in the European arena, I think they've conceded quite on a regular basis. Domestically, they don't quite get as punished.
So on that note, Stephen Davis comes back into the side then.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Does Lundstrom stay in? Because he's going game on game now. He's starting. Stronger, He's starting to get to the pace of everything, and what Stephen wants from him. And we're looking at that sort of player that we got from Sheffield United. Getting further up, driving to the byline a couple of times at the weekend there. And look really, really strong. So do we keep him in the side, or?
Well, see your opening point there, Mark. I thought it was really important. I actually think Rangers have to take something for this game on Thursday.
100%.
I agree with Mark. I watched the highlights of Sparta at the weekend. They look a really decent outfit. I don't think they have too many players going out the door from last year when we've seen 2 different sides to them. They obviously had the reserves at Parkhead, and then when they were over there, they had the first team and took 8 of Celtic. So this is going to be a difficult tie for Rangers. But that then goes back to, how do you set up? He touches on a very valid point, because see, for me, having covered a lot of these European games, Ryan Kent is pivotal to a lot of them. So he's not there. So what shape does Stephen go with? Lundstrom's getting stronger and stronger. I think since the Lyon game, then you had the Motherwell game, and then obviously at the weekend, he is really settling in nicely, and he looks as if he's grown in confidence.
Getting the rhythm.
Yeah, he just looks as if he's kind of finding his mojo. And so do you then go with 3 guys? So you would go with Davis, Kamara as a stick on because they manipulate the ball, and John on the right of that 3, and then that gives you a little bit more solidification.
Yeah. You could push Oribo further up, maybe,
and maybe do that.
I like to see him.
You like to see
Morelos and Roof, whether he does that, because Joe. The good thing about Joe is he's a ball carrier, and he gets you up the pitch.
Does Hadji stay on the side?
Well, again, that goes back to it. Again, it will depend on what Stephen says, because depending on the personnel there. Because the one thing about Hadji, he takes up brilliant areas and he's cute. But again, because you've just said it, Mark, they will most certainly take the game to Rangers.
Yeah.
So is Hadji going to be the guy that's tracking back and things? Is that something that you would factor into your thinking?
Yeah, but he can track back. But I would like him to come a certain distance back and then use use his energy in a positive way. Because counter. That's where I'm looking at him as an asset, as a counter attacker.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to get in the ball, and the space will be there, because I do think Sparta will come right on top.
Yeah.
And that space, and Hadji is a thinker as well.
Oh, he's cute.
Cute, right? So he's going to find that space, and once he gets on that ball, he's going to get a pass.
No, without a doubt.
We need Alfie on fire. And we need Alfie to do the hard work.
The hard yards.
Yeah, the hard yards, off the shoulders. Honestly, that's why his goal tally is down for me this season. Just looking at him, he's not doing enough off the shoulder. Just balls up the side of him,
sure.
a one-touch finishes.
Things,
a one-touch finish. And Hadji provides that sort of service for you all the time. That's the one he's looking for. He's the one that will be aggressive on the ball. Doesn't matter if he messes the pass up. Next time you'll try the same pass, it will come off and we'll get the rewards. That's what we've not done enough in the last third, I don't think.
Well, I said at the weekend, having been up at Dundee, I was a wee bit frustrated, what I was watching, Mark. And I thought, listen, because we did so well last year, that is your kind of yardstick. So you have you know what this squad are capable of. And I think when Rangers are at it, the front three are bang at it. And what I mean by that is they're in people's faces, they're putting a high press on. Now, because it's a European game, they may well drop off to the halfway line and then press from that area. So what I'm saying is it's not a case of just going gung-ho, but I would like to see the front three be the catalyst to how Rangers play.
100%, 100%. And they have to be active.
Yeah, but
in the middle and last third.
Absolutely. And by actually doing that, they set the tone for the midfield to then press behind. The back line can get up.
Yeah.
And but that's okay to drop off to the 18-yard line and then get your midfield dropped off, and then the three strikers drop into the halfway line, and you're just very condensed.
Yeah, the D.
So what I'm saying is, you can have a high press, and then you can like a low block, if you like, is the modern terminology, but it's just defending deep. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. And by actually the three guys setting that tone, and it's the three strikers, I thought we'd done it brilliant last year. I don't think we're quite at that at the moment. But that's not to say that you can't get to that level again.
Yeah, 100%. But I'd like to also think it's random. It's not, we're going to do this all the time.
No, but
do this all the time.
Circumstances dictate, Mark.
Yeah. So mixing it around.
Absolutely.
That's what I always say. I always say to your centre forward who's going to stretch a back four or a back three or whatever, right? You've got to be prepared to run that way.
Yeah,
away from the ball, right? But you don't chase every ball. You need to put a doubt into the centre-half's mind that, he's going to chase the ball again, Right, you go for one and then you leave two, or you go for two and leave one.
Yeah.
So
playing mind games with him.
Yeah. So that means he's got to be going all the time. So as soon as that ball looks like it's going to go over, I'm on my toes because he thinks I'm going to run for it, then I just stand still and get the ball to feet.
Yeah, of course.
And little things like that open the game up so much for a striker in Europe. It's just mixing it around all the time and not being that
predictable.
Mr. Predictable.
Yeah. You make a great point. It's the moment for Morelos to make his mark and really explode into this season, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many goals has he got? 4 goals this season. How many did he have at this stage last season? Probably
maybe twice that.
Twice as many. Yeah, but he's getting. I don't think he's having twice as many. He's not having the attempts.
Yeah,
and that comes from what I'm just saying there. Getting him up the side and getting his one-touch finishers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, stats can mean anything. Rangers have never won on Czech soil. They've only been there 4 times. You were there in 91.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lost 1-0.
Disappointing.
That was a blow. And then the game
didn't play in the second game, did I?
You missed that when you were injured for that.
Yeah,
one.
It's not my fault then.
Stuart
McCall, yeah.
Oh, I can't believe you've just volleyed wee Stuart under the bus.
No. He scored the equaliser.
I'm kidding.
Into extra time.
Yeah.
Scored again.
Yeah. And then they went away through it on away goals, didn't they?
Yeah, they got a late goal. That was it.
Listen, you always get the stats on this show. Listen, let's revisit the Morelos thing. He was 1 goal ahead of where he was at this time last year.
Okay.
So, it's not a huge...
But his performances haven't been the same, have they?
No, well, I totally agree. Yeah, but we're obviously just looking for a stat there, which would have sounded good. But in his defence, 1 goal up. But I think in the main, I thought some of the performances last year, because we were complimentary about Alfie, because he didn't quite get the goal tally that he got in previous years, but his general all-round play was
getting better.
Most certainly better,
Getting better.
Yeah.
They've got some useful players. There's a young kid playing up front, Adam Lojek. He's only 19, Mark. Liverpool sniffing around already, apparently. They're rating him about €15 million already. So, I mean, he's obviously a threat. They've got a player in the wide area, Paychek, who's good on the ball, good delivery from set pieces. So they've got talented players.
Yeah, but I think Stephen and his boys will be all over it. They'll be well informed, should I say, about all the opposition that they're going to be playing against. So you just have to point out and pick out, which you do. Obviously, you pick out danger men, as we've done through the campaigns. And I think over the last 2 years, I think we've done a pretty good job about picking out danger players and stopping them playing. So that's what we've got to do. But we've got to get our danger players playing. I mean, playing.
I mean, well, the memories of these great away performances, Alec, Benfica, Porto, that type of thing. Well, that
Braga, yeah, absolutely.
Braga, that'll help them. Yeah,
without doubt. I think the one thing when you look through the squad, Lindsay, and you're absolutely right, experience is very important at European level, Mark, isn't it? I think you're looking at your Connor Golsons that are up about 50 games now, so they're not novices. Yep. When they were in the second season, they were just finding their feet at that level, performing very well. That experience will be invaluable now. So they've got that experience over the last 3 campaigns, and this will be a challenge. And you're right, the young boy Lojek, the boy who's been kind of scouted by Liverpool, good movement, looks to get shot off early. So they're going to have to be mindful of that. And as I said, you cannot pass up opportunities like we have been in recent weeks, because at this level you get punished. And you're right what you're saying earlier, Lindsay, about conceding at the European level, because they're so clinical.
Can I just say as well, people, I mean, we talk about the work that goes on behind the scene, pinking out, danger players who are going to be playing against it. Don't forget, these European sides now, you just said it, 50 games for Connor Golston. They'll all know Connor's game inside out.
Yeah.
They'll know his strengths, they'll know his weaknesses. So this is where your player has to get better.
Keep
developing that experience, taking that into Europe, probably cutting out the little mistakes that have
costly in the past.
Costly. But that's where you learn.
Yeah.
You learn at the very, very top. Your European games, Champions League game is the next level where you come up against the next level player. So your game has to evolve all the time. So it's not always about worrying about the opposition. It's worrying about yourself and making sure you're performing better than you did last year at this level, because people know about you.
When they come back from Prague, guys, a really tasty fixture against a Hibs team that have started the season very well. They're unbeaten. A few draws in there, of course, but they're managing to win games, and they look like a handy outfit.
Well, I think they've had a really good start to the season. That's fair to say. I think they've got a small group. I think there's probably about 12, 13 players that they would go to. And all those players, are buoyed by their start the season. Time will tell. The maintaining the sort of standard that they are. So that will be a big test against Rangers for them. Yeah. Also a big test for us. Yeah. And it's also a big game for us to send a message to Hibs, obviously being the nearest challengers right now.
Yep.
And then, where that goes from, because, these teams, so-called challengers, should we say, the Hearts and the Hibs and all this sort of stuff, they will have a defeat, and it's how they react to that defeat. They'll have injuries, they'll also have suspensions and all that sort of stuff, and where they go to from there and what sort of results will come from there. But right at this moment, Hibs are a good team for us to be playing against.
Well, if you look at the strikers, middle to front, you have to say you've got the emergence of Scotty Allen. Looks as if he was on his way to St Mirren before the window closed. He's buckled down, had a big impact in the last couple of games. You've got Martin Boyle, who's the top scorer in Scotland at the moment. Albeit there's a few penalties in there, but he looks lively. Always susceptible to a little 9.5 in the box, Lindsay.
What are you trying to say, Alex?
Well, what I'm saying is there's the slightest gust of wind.
Yes.
Be seeing you. He's over. So the referee has to be strong and be mindful of the wee man. He likes a wee 9.5. He wears Speedos underneath his shorts, I'm led to believe.
Yes. Likes playing in the rain.
Oh, I'll leave that to you. And then you have Nesbitt, who's a handful as well. Yeah. But they have good talent within their ranks as well. They've got Kyle McGuinness, who they paid a few quid for, starting to hit some decent form. They've also got Portes, who likes a wee Russell, a wee rumble in the jungle with Alfredo every time they come up against each other. And then they've got the young boy Dodge at left back, who bombs up and down. So they have good personnel. And but Matt says about 13 or 14 players, they actually have one of the better squads. So they have a little bit of strength and depth as well. They've got guys like Louis Stevenson, Gogic, Doyle Hayes on the background. So they have decent quality. And I think this will be a very good test for... It's okay winning all these other games. I think the test that becomes, when you're coming to Glasgow, Mark, and then you're up against the Old Firm. That is when it's really the acid test for these teams. And then also when you look at the fixtures that they have upcoming for Hibs, they've got Dundee United, Aberdeen, Celtic. So this is a spell where, for Rangers, they could potentially really kick on and make their mark. Make that gap bigger.
It could all be done and done. See the next couple of games, the message could be sent, the results attained, right? And
the points tally could be insurmountable.
And the gap is then there, and that's to chase. And that allows then Stephen to sort of dip into his squad for this game, for that game, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that will be a big, these 2 games right now.
Massive. Well, because obviously, and I know we're obviously talking about us, but across the city, it's a big week as well, Lindsay. You know, you've obviously got Leverkusen, who are second in the Bundesliga, and then they're obviously up at Pittodrie as well, Celtic. So, as you said, Mark, the gap could be
insurmountable already.
But you have to take care of your own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that Hibs game, obviously no away fans again for this one. Now, we know that there are some extenuating circumstances, Alec.
Yeah, well, listen, I think one of the reasons you have 45,000 season tickets at Ibrox. You also have a red zone. Then you also have to cater for, you know, people who have disabilities and certain things where you house them as well. And I know there's been a little bit of a movement from, I think it's Motherwell and Hearts have actually put in a complaint to the SPFL, because within the rules it's saying that you have to house a certain amount of away fans. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think for Rangers and Celtic, because of the amount of season tickets, it becomes more and more difficult. But they've obviously put their cards on the table. They're not happy, and it's down to the league to actually try and come up with some sort of solution.
You think it might be difficult to police as well, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, I do. I think that's why it's just best just keeping everything clean, if you want, for a better word. You know, let them just manage their own environment.
I thought I heard, what's his name? Yabba Dabba Doo.
The Flintstones.
Barney Flintstone.
Barney Rubble.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh my God.
I know.
But I know what you mean. It'd be logistically, it's easier, isn't it?
Completely. And I think at this particular stage of, you know, the virus and everything that's going around, it's just best to keep everything clean, tidy, keep your own house in order, making sure of that, and nothing external coming in anywhere or wherever we go. I think it's just as it should be.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the away teams are welcoming Rangers fans with open arms.
Of course they are.
Because it's revenue.
Of course they are, yeah.
But you have to factor in what their capacity is as well. So you take maybe somebody like Hibs, 20,000, they've got 12 or 13 season tickets, so there's 7,000 spare seats.
Yeah.
So you have to obviously look at that as well. Whether they can squeeze a certain number into the away fan area, and then maybe try and rehouse a certain amount just to try and fulfil the league obligation, then potentially that may well something to look at in the future.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a big talking point. And just one final thing, an interesting one during the week, Ivan Toney saying that he was being linked with a Rangers move before he went to Brentford, which is quite remarkable.
I'd heard that a while back, actually.
Yeah. I think very interesting to see that they've been looking at him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he is what he is, isn't he? He's a good player, and he's getting better. He's big. He moves across the ground. He does everything and scores goals, and he's scoring goals in the Premier League now.
And now he's out the price bracket.
Yeah, without doubt.
He's now a £45 million player.
You'd have to break into the big man's wallet.
Oh yes.
It's interesting because he's one that has really kicked on, you know. But the problem is, you have to get these guys when they're at Peterboroughs and of the world, and you can afford to get them, and they're in your price bracket. The good thing about it is it's pleasing to know that the scouting network at Rangers are actually kind of identifying certain talents, because this is ongoing.
Fabulous, lads. Thanks for your time today.
Lindsay.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Tatty boy. Yabba dabba doo.